Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village. The award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007. Find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com. Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there.
With our secret super undercover informant joining us here today, and we're not going to notice who that is. Right, Todd? We're not going to, no?
We're not going to give that out.
We can neither confirm nor deny that Jeff Meeks is a CIA agent, but with this shirt, Jeff Meeks joining us today. I tell you what, Todd, it's always a pleasure to have you, and especially we never had you and Jeff together. Always a pleasure. But I tell you what, today, man, I'm just going to be frank, it kind of feels like a little bit of a victory lap, Todd. Man, the POA is helping the THA like I've never seen. Tell us more, buddy. What's going on?
Well, it's in the DeSoto courts, we're trying to kind of help our neighbors out a little bit and use some of our equipment and our resources to help the THA kind of, have a little bit better entrance on trees on our right-of-ways that have never been cut. And we're trying to get some of that, taken care of, cut some of our brush on our right-of-ways, just kind of the appearance and help the town association any way that we can for the appearance of, their drive into them and whatever they need. Just trying to be neighborly.
Well, and we appreciate it. So we had made note before that in DeSoto courts, for example, okay, there's like 90 units. Well, that we pay the same POA fees as everybody else, and we get the same services. We get the gate, we get the fire, we get all the other stuff. But we have such a density that it's a lot of money for a little area. Well, the POA has certainly stepped up and said, let's help make that right, because you and I and Ken did a tour 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And we were looking, and I was going, so about those of you that don't know, Todd is a registered forester and in charge of the common property. And I'm going, okay, the POA land ends here and the THA lands in here. And how do we get a permit to cut? And basically Todd came through and said, I'll take this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. We'll clear this up and we'll take care of all this. We're wrapping up to a few $1,000s real quick. And between you and Ken, it was like, okay, let's just make this happen. And God love you and thank you, man. I can't say it enough, really.
Well, hey, it was our honor. I tell you, it needed to have been done a long time ago. And it's a pleasure to be able to help out when we can.
Yeah, and fact of the matter is that we actually, let me hang on one sec. What we need to do, excuse me, what we need to do is actually, there we go. Sorry about that. What we need to do, Jeff, give me a little perspective here. How have the THA and the POA worked together in the past in your history? What do you know about?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think there's been a lot very recently until Todd stepped up and you kind of brought it on the radar of some real needs there. And Todd, you've been with the POA for many, many years, so correct me where I'm wrong, but I do remember times when several years ago there was discussion about who's going to take the trash away. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
And that kind of turned into a controversy, and I think people, if I remember right, and that's a big if, things kind of went sideways as I remember it. And Todd, again, chime in if I'm wrong here. But I will say that Todd's got a ton of responsibilities. He's got more titles than I have hairs on my head.
And mine together, yeah.
And if you communicate with Todd about something that needs to be done, it'll get done. Which is amazing, Todd, how much you have on your plate, yet you really are good at following through on stuff. Dennis, I can't really tell you a lot about the past because I just don't remember there being much. We used to, at The Voice, we used to cover the THA.
I remember y'all used to send a reporter. I wasn't involved at the time, but I would see a reporter every month, and there would be at the THA meeting, this was covered. And I understand, look, the news world has changed. I got that. We can't afford to send reporters everywhere we did. But
we had a reduction in staff.
Sure.
Around that time. And I couldn't, it's been several years ago now. And so some things had to go. And THA was one of those.
Well, I tell you what, let's come back to it here, Todd. Let's do the 5 Mile High view real quick. Okay. So, right. and I'll do the first part, you do the second part. But let's talk about DeSoto Courts as an example. Okay. The average homeowner there will buy that unit, and typically, at least in DeSoto Courts, they own the land that it sits on and about 5 feet around it, right?
Right.
And then the THA, the Town Homeowners Association, in case we use too many anachronisms here and not shared them out, the town homeowners owns the property around that. And then there may be some unmaintained common property, as we call it. There may be just, a little brush or whatever. But typically right beside that is POA land. So it's private owner, about 5 feet, THA, and then it's the POA. And we've just never until recently understood that synergy between those two properties. Is that fair?
Yeah. That's that's been the problem. And just like what we done, for example, in DeSoto Courts.
Yeah.
Those right-of-ways have never been maintained. The right-of-ways belong to us. They've never been maintained in the courts. And yourself, when we were taking our walk and looking around, there was limbs hanging over that was hitting vehicles.
There were everywhere we looked, and this is, I'm not cussing our forefathers, but there was neglect, Todd, and that's what you and Ken have seen, right?
Right. And it, so, we've got a growler head that we cut limbs off the streets with. So that was the first thing, I told you. I said, hey, I'll just send my growler head up in here and we'll get this taken care of for you. And they did.
Explain what that is and what it does real quick.
It's a tractor with an arm on the side that reaches out, and it's got like a big mulching head on it that cuts the limbs plumb back to the tree, and mulches it up where you hadn't got a mess. And we've been using that on our streets because I say that to get to this point. That's just DeSoto Courts was an example, but Dennis, that's all throughout the village.
Yeah,
we have so many limbs that's hanging over in our roads and stuff, and we're blessed to have administration where we can purchase something like that we really needed. And so we sent that up in there first, and then we got actual to tell you how long it's been since that's been maintained in DeSoto Courts. We actually had trees, and I'm talking about trees. You've seen them.
Not shrubs, not bushes, trees.
24, 36 inches around that was growed up in the right-of-way blocking DeSoto Court signs. I mean, when you turned up into DeSoto Courts, you couldn't see the signs. I don't know where I'm at. Am I in DeSoto Courts or not? So we had those removed, cleaned up, and now you got, when you turn off DeSoto and go up the hill to DeSoto Courts, hey, it's all open. You can see the signs perfect.
I think, Todd, that that goes to my point of, I just don't remember a lot of interaction between the POA
We never did.
HSA
Never did have any
for many
communication.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point, Jeff. It's as if, and I don't remember. For me at the time, I've only been here about 15 years living in this building. But for about 10 years before that, I was always watching the paper, and this Meeks guy was in the paper every week. Holy cow. It's like he was the editor or something,
Well, when you're with the CIA,
you're everywhere. You're everywhere. I even seen him in Fayetteville, Dennis, at a football game.
Did you really? I'm telling you.
I went to the Razorback football game, and there.
I tell you what, I love you, Jeff, but this whole low profile thing you suck at, okay?
You never know where you're going to see.
I say that in love. I say that in love.
Todd, who was with us when we met at that restaurant up in Fayetteville?
It was Roger Harper.
Okay, and it was Roger Harper who left the POA to work for the THA.
Townhouse Association. Yes, it was.
Right.
He currently is the one that's doing the garbage pickup for Townhouse.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's Roger. I've never met him. I remember people have talked about him many times. I've never met the guy.
Yeah,
but back to the THA POA thing real quick. It's not that we can't. It's just that we just kind of got dropped. Does that sound fair, Jeff?
It would sure appear that way. That's why I say, you asked me to kind of give a review, and man, I'd have to go back years and years and years to when we used to cover THA, and then for the reason I mentioned, we didn't. And I've stayed in touch with Todd and Public Works directors for 10 years, and THA just was not on the radar.
Yeah,
as best I can remember.
Well, and here's the deal. We, for example, DeSoto Courts, it's no surprise. DeSoto Courts has significant funds and nobody's working on it. I was just stunned. And I remember when I drove through, Diane and I were driving through, and I said, well, this was something. This was really, really nice. I said, somebody should, me, I should do something about this, And as we drove through it more and more, and Todd, I tell you what, let's go back to the master plan real quick. We talked about the ownership of the land. So DeSoto Courts is a great example, but Madrid is an even better example because there's 151 units in Madrid. Now it's on the north side of Lake DeSoto. So the people own the land that their property sits on, about 5 feet around it. There's a lot of common property down to the lake. And then who owns the lake, Mr. Todd?
Well, we do. Actually, the state owns the water, and we own the land under the water.
Yeah. If that's not complicated enough, people, I wanted y'all to hear Todd tell it.
Yeah,
the POA owns the land under it.
Yeah, the water itself belongs to the state, but the what's underneath the water belongs to POA.
I remember the first time I covered a lakes meeting and I heard that, I was like, what?
and Todd, let's split hairs. Let's split hairs, Todd. Who owns the fish?
Isn't that because the water moves through the state? Isn't that why?
Yeah, that's why. That's why, because our lakes come from outside the village and it just moves throughout the state. So the state actually owns the water, but we own the land under it. And and the fish in the lakes are kind of split between us and the state. So
Were you serious?
No.
Yeah, they're tagged.
Yeah, they're tagged.
Todd tagged all the fish in all the lakes. Some say Arkansas Game and Fish. So
Todd's fish, Dennis's fish, POA fish. Yeah. Okay, got it. I got it. Okay.
I tried to catch them all when I lived there, but
I got hooked, line, and sinkered right then. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah.
So back to the DeSoto Courts real quick. The master plan that you and I and Ken basically came up with. Excuse me. Is as you come into DeSoto Courts was a showplace. DeSoto Courts was where Cooper brought all their initial people in the 70s and let them stay there a couple of nights before they gave them a tour. And it was majestic. And every one of those units along the golf course had a fantastic view of the golf course. But 50 years have passed and a lot of brush, right, Todd?
A lot of growth. Yeah. And, you can't see the golf course now in several places that you used to.
Yeah.
because of the growth that, you know.
Well, that's step 2 is where I was getting at with, you know,
Right,
step 1 is the POA. And to be clear about this, the POA has gone in, cleaned up the right of way, made that look great. Looks fantastic. We're getting ready to put the signs up. The POA has generously offered to buy one of those signs. We buy the other sign. And then as you drive in, there's all that brush along the THA and common green space. And we're working on a permit to get that cleaned up. And then the POA or the THA will pay to clear that property on POA land with approval, right?
Yeah, with approval. And the THA then will hire whoever they want to clear some of that brush out and open the view back up for people that live there if people want to stay there.
Well, Todd, you and I looked at a pine tree back behind one of the units way back in the corner. You and I together could not have reached around.
Oh,
yeah, my Lord, what a pine tree.
It was huge. And that, that was right there on not far from the golf course too.
Oh,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's within feet from the golf course. And you get to that point, there were branches as big as my waist, and I ain't that big a guy. Anyway, one of those branches falling on a house, story's over, Rover.
Oh, right? Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, what have you got coming up? Just remind me, what is this? We're going to sign a what, where, and a when, what?
I'm not sure I can talk about that, but I will.
I'm sure you can.
Oh, yeah.
On November 13th, at the Voice office from 9:30 to 11, and 1:30 to 2:30, I'll be doing a book signing on my new book, The JFK Files, Pieces of the Assassination Puzzle, and I'll have my other books there as well. And then the following day, at 4 p.m. on November 14th, the Watchtower Speaker Series will have their final event for 2023. And because it's very close, within almost a week of the 60th anniversary of the JFK assassination, they're having a program devoted to that. And I'm part of a 3-person panel. I'll be discussing Lee Harvey Oswald and the links he had and has to the CIA, which are numerous. People will be amazed that the CIA knew about Lee Harvey Oswald years before the assassination. Also on the panel will be Dr. Michael Chesser, who is one of very few civilian doctors who got permission from the Kennedy family to examine Kennedy's autopsy materials. And he will be doing a presentation. And also we'll have Dr. David Montague, who is a senior investigator, actually, with the Assassination Records Review Board, which, going back a little bit, many people will probably remember the Oliver Stone movie, JFK. And I'm hoping to get an interview with Oliver Stone by the end of the year. Well, that really brought a focus to the Kennedy assassination again, to the point that Congress passed in 1992 the JFK Records Collection Act. And it took 2 years, but finally put in place was the Assassination Records Review Board to put some teeth into this Records Act, to go out across the country and find documents that entities had not released. And talking to, I interviewed, and in my new book is an interview I did with Judge John Thunheim, who chaired the Assassination Records Review Board. And he reminded me that, this was, the Records Act passed in 92, but nothing happened until 1994. Well, why is that? Well, who was president at that time? George Bush I, who used to be a former CIA director. Coincidence? I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I wasn't that deep into this at that time, but the Assassination Review Board didn't actually get going, didn't get traction until President Clinton took office and appointed Judge Thunheim in charge. So,
well, there's a lot of coincidences, and actually, Miss Jennifer Allen told me about a coincidence the other night that I didn't know, and I didn't know this. She said that the night that you saw the Zapruder film, that it was on Nightline, and that was the first time that the Zapruder film was released, the assassination video.
Good Night, America.
Yet you were actually wanting to see Raquel Welch, because she was going to be on that. Is that possible? Is that a disclosure?
Guilty. Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea the assassination was going to be discussed, or let alone a film shown. That was March 6th, 1975. Obviously, Raquel's a very attractive lady, and she had just won an award. And I thought, well, I don't have anything to do in the morning. I'll stay up and watch. And then part of that program was the JFK thing, and I didn't really believe what I was hearing. Yeah. But that film was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh, it was. And I apologize. We've run out of time. I've got to bump up to some other people. Todd, thanks again. Always a pleasure. Appreciate working with you, buddy.
Thank you, Dennis. It's always a pleasure working with you. And Jeff, hey, man, I appreciate you and all you do for us here at the POA, and for all you've done for the village. You're awesome.
I
hope to be at your book signing.
Yeah, hope to see you at the book signing.
Yeah, thank you. All right. And Todd, I appreciate you staying in touch with me on matters and helping me get some information out. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'm going to bring my Raquel Welch poacher and see if I can get it signed. See you, buddy.
Thanks for watching and listening to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast starring Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com.